this is what I want to cover, doing nothing and running. So here's the conversation with the runner, right? They're sitting in front of me and they say, I took 2 weeks off, because here's the other thing. I tell someone to take 2 weeks off, I'm the devil. But people always come in and they take 2 weeks off and they try to run again, and they do that a couple times before they finally get submissive and they come in to see me. But remember what we talked about with scars. The scar will only heal as much as it allows itself to, so you need to strain it. When you're doing nothing, and you're like, I just shut it down for 2 weeks, that's all I did, then your scar is only going to heal to the point of shutting it down in what you're doing in your daily life. So then you take 2 weeks off and you go, okay, I feel good. You do one of these things. Yeah, I feel pretty good. I'm going to try just jogging to the car today. Oh, that feels pretty good. And then I'm going to go out for a run. And then they go, it just keeps hurting every time I do it. So I take 2 weeks off again. Oh, it feels pretty good again. This is going to be the time. And then they go out for a run and then hurt again. This is why. Because you can't go from doing nothing back to running. What ends up happening is you realize, oh, I can't run. I'm going to go back to doing nothing. Oh, feel good again. I'm going to try to run. Nope. And you just get stuck in this cycle. And I like to just throw the R, the S, R, E on there. And you just end up sore all the time. What we want to do is we want to set up a system of checks and balances. Okay? So the system of checks and balances looks like this. We want to strain the scar, right? And I'm going to talk about how do you know you're straining it the right amount in a minute. You want to strain the scar, and to do that, you need to set up a system so that if you strain it a little bit and you overdo it, you don't have like a full setback and you're like, damn it, I re-injured it. That's what we want to do. So what I like to do is I like to set up these stepping stones. And what this allows us to do is to go from nothing to here. Did you tolerate it? Great, let's do that. Go to the next one. Did you tolerate it? Great. And you keep climbing this way back up until you can start doing some walk runs and some different types of things that I like to do, and I'll talk about those next. So these stepping stones allow you to get there safely, and let's say that you get to this point and you're like, oh man, that didn't go well, and you get like a little irritated with it or you didn't tolerate it, you slide back a little bit and then you can climb back up, and then maybe you slide back a little bit and then you can climb back up, versus this cycle. So that's what we want to make sure we're focused on. So I'm going to walk you through. Now this is going to be somewhat injury dependent, but I'm going to give you some loose guidelines here. If you have a tendon injury, they do really well with eccentrics. So eccentrics are like slow lowering. That's part of the protocol for this. But when we look at doing nothing to running, the first thing I like to do is if you can't like get around without hurting or aggravating something, you're in the nothing stage. Like you need to stay there, and maybe you go up one of these two tiers. But what we like to see is, can you bike? Because biking is really low. So I never like to see someone like, oh, I biked for 2 weeks and I tried to run. Biking is way away from running, people. It's not even close. So we like, can you bike? Can you walk? Can you elliptical? Can you squat? Can you do stairs? Can you lunge? Can you reach? Any of my patients are watching, I guarantee they've seen this. They've seen this somewhere along the way. I'm going to try not to break this. They've seen me talk about this. And what this does, and I would write this down or take a screenshot, is it allows you to work up safely. So, okay, this is the scenario, right? I feel better. I feel pretty good. I think I want to do something. All right, well, can you bike, walk, and elliptical? Okay, can you? Great, you can. And then what will happen is there's going to be a point in here where you're going to fail. You're not going to be able to tolerate whatever it is. So then you just stay there. So let's say you can't squat yet, but all these other things are fine. What I'd recommend, especially here, like most runners go nuts because they're not sweating. Just get out and sweat. Just go and do stuff so you can I call it burn off the crazy, which is something that's huge right now, right? Because we all need to burn off the crazy. But just get in here and start being active. Low load exercise is great for scar, improving your scar health. It increases blood flow. It helps with the mind. You're doing something. So just get active. Don't just say I'm going to do nothing and start running. Then what we like to do, this is more of a knee program, but we say, okay, can you squat? Now this is a little bit more complex than you think, because there's many ways you can do different squats. Squats with rotation, squats with weight, staggered squats. But can you just simply do a squat without pain? And if you have hip or knee pain and you squat and you're like, oh, that doesn't feel good, or no, I feel fine squatting. And I'm not talking about like the country line dance squat where you throw your knees forward. I'm talking about a nice squat, getting your butt back And I'm not talking back to butt to the floor, but just a general squat. Can you do that okay? Okay, you can. Okay, can you do stairs okay? Now there's a bunch of different branches off here. Like if you want to make something easier on your knee, you go to the side. If you want to make something easier on your hip, like a glute strain is, glutes don't really get strained too much, but they can happen. Or piriformis or something, or your hip needs to be protected, you would start forward first, because when you go forward up a flight of stairs, you get more quad involved, less hip. But let's say your quad or your knee's aggravated, you would start with a side step up, because the side step is easier on the knee than it is going straight. So there's a lot of different variations off here. The same thing applies for lunges. When you do a side lunge, you load your hip more. So if your hip is injured, we probably stay away from side lunges first, but a side lunge is better for your knee. It's safer for your knee. So we like to start our side lunges first and then progress. Now, a lot of people get to this lunge part and they're like, oh, I just can't lunge. Once you get up to these higher level functions, it's rare, but some people have to make the jump to running because they're just not going to do well with the lunging. But it's very rare. But I'm not talking about the old drop your knee to the ground lunge. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about nice, clean lunges. If you ever watch any of my videos, I talk about keeping one leg straight, get more of a running type posture. But also after lunging, you can reach down to your knee. You can twist to turn your glutes on to protect the knee. You can twist away to turn the hips off. There's so many different variations in here, but this gives you a general guideline. And then we look at reaches, which is single leg activity. You stand on one foot and do like a balance and reach. If you don't know what reach are, go to my basic. A lot of that's 18 workouts within those two programs alone that we do a lot of this work. Single leg activity, I'm just going to talk about that quick. If you're not doing any SLAs, single leg activity, you're missing the boat, because double leg strengthening is great for maybe producing force, but you'll never know if one side's overpowering the other. When you get into a single leg activity, you're able to really kind of hone in on one side stronger than the other. Same thing for core, getting in. And actually, I'll put this down here. Like for a lot of running injuries, you can start at core first. And so when I have someone come in and they're like dragging their leg behind them, I'll get them on the table and we'll just start hammering core to do something to get started, and then we'll start working our way up. But single leg activity, don't miss this.